The day I walked into the Ho family mansion, it was supposed to be a grand reunion. After all, I was Daisy Ho, the long-lost daughter finally returned to her rightful place. But as my biological mother, Eleanor, began her well-rehearsed lecture on proper etiquette, how a Ho daughter should carry herself, I found my mind drifting. Or rather, my mind found itself drifting right into hers. And what a delightful revelation that was. Eleanor, with her perfectly sculpted features and designer dress, was thinking, she's so country. How can I possibly mold this wild thing into a proper society lady? And then, the kicker. Still, her genes aren't bad. My maintenance routine is clearly superior, though. No wonder I still look this good, even after, well, you know. Her face went as white as a freshly starched linen tablecloth. Oh, she'd heard me. Not my spoken words, of course, but the unfiltered inner monologue that was suddenly broadcasting loud and clear into her perfectly coiffed brain. My internal monologue, the one about her maintenance routine and her post-divorce glow-up into a glamorous social media personality. Talk about an unexpected talent. Or a curse, depending on how you looked at it. Just then, my gaze drifted to Holly, the adopted sister who was putting on a performance worthy of an Academy Award nomination. Tears, sniffles, the whole 9 yards. My mind, bless its new, intrusive heart, immediately picked up on a new internal broadcast. Oh, look at that, I thought, my mind broadcasting it to anyone within earshot of my inner voice, which apparently was everyone. I wonder if it's David's or Ethan's. The air in the room thickened faster than concrete. David and Ethan, who just moments ago had been radiating brotherly affection, suddenly looked like they'd seen a ghost. Or rather, heard one. Their expressions were priceless, a symphony of unspoken accusations played out between them. And then, as if on cue, the patriarch himself, Richard Ho, strolled in, just in time for the grand finale. Well, 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 I thought, my inner voice resonating with an almost theatrical sigh. Looks like it's dear old Dad's after all. Richard froze. The entire family was now staring at me, their faces a canvas of utter disbelief and mounting panic. I gave them an innocent, almost childlike smile, as if I hadn't just detonated a truth bomb in their perfectly manicured living room. That, my friends, was day one, the day I, Daisy Ho, accidentally became the family's walking, talking, thought-broadcasting lie detector. And believe me, the Ho family had enough secrets to fill a library. Eleanor, my biological mother, was all about rules and appearances. On my very first evening, she lectured me about table manners. In the Ho family, we conduct ourselves with grace and dignity, she droned on. Unlike certain situations you might be accustomed to. Your great-grandmother was a socialite, Daisy. Everything you do reflects on our ancestors. My mother, huh? Quite the looker. Great skin, amazing legs, killer figure. Rich people really know how to take care of themselves. No wonder she became a live-streaming sensation after the divorce, showing off all that assets. Eleanor, mid-sentence, suddenly choked on her words, her face going pale. She clutched her chest, eyes wide with horror. She'd heard me again. I gave her my most innocent, sweetest smile. I understand, Mother, I said, as if nothing out of the ordinary had just happened. You're just looking out for me. I know. I genuinely tried to be empathetic. After all, 80% of my current good looks came from her genes. Don't worry, Mom, I thought, this time directly to her. Even if the family disowns you, I'll support you wholeheartedly, even if I have to become a professional potato farmer to do it. Eleanor stared at me, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. Before she could react, the grand doors swung open. In walked the golden children of the Ho family, David, Ethan, and Holly. Holly, the picture of sweet innocence, rushed towards me, grabbing my hand with an eager smile. "Daisy, welcome home. We've all been waiting for you." I pulled my hand back, a skeptical look on my face. "Waiting for me, huh?" My mind scoffed, and I felt Eleanor flinch. Funny how you all knew where I was living for the past 2 years, but conveniently kept it a secret from Mom until now. And what's the big rush to bring me back? Oh, right, David needs a kidney, and I'm supposedly a perfect match. How convenient. My eyes swept over the trio. Holly's bright smile faltered. David stiffened, a faint blush creeping up his neck. Ethan, ever the loyal protector, bristled. I was so caught up in my mental rant that I forgot to return Holly's gesture. Her eyes immediately welled up. The waterworks began. "Mom, brothers, Daisy doesn't seem to like me. Maybe I should just move out." Ethan immediately stepped forward, glaring at me like he wanted to turn me into a human punching bag. "Daisy, what's your deal? First day home and you're already bullying Holly? What's your problem?" I blinked at him, feigning innocence. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to," I murmured, while my inner voice, loud and clear, declared, "Wow, what a fiercely devoted lapdog. He's the ultimate wife protector, all right. But Holly's pregnant. Whose baby is it really? And wait, she and Ethan aren't even officially together. Could it actually be David's from that night?" Ethan, mid-sentence, suddenly flinched, his eyes wide. He turned to David, a look of pure horror on his face. You touched her?" David's face drained of all color. "No, how could you even think that?" Oh, they're still trying to deny it. Even though Holly took a sedative that night, there were other ways to deal with it. But no, David, on his deathbed practically, still had women on his mind. Pathetic. Ethan grabbed David by the collar, his voice rising. "Tell me, David, was it you?" "Actually," my internal voice chimed in, almost helpfully, "it wasn't David. He had an attack and was rushed to the hospital. So who was the 6-foot-tall, pine-scented mystery man?" Ethan's grip loosened. He looked from David to me, a sudden mortified blush spreading across his face. He quickly let go of David and turned to me. "Daisy, enough." Eleanor, who had been silently absorbing all these mental broadcasts, finally found her voice. "David, take Daisy to her room. She needs to rest." David, still stunned, led me toward the elevator. Holly, meanwhile, looked utterly confused. "Mom, did I do something wrong? Why are David and Ethan fighting? Are they angry at me?" She began to sob, louder this time. She was clearly expecting Eleanor to comfort her as usual, but Eleanor just gave her a withering look. "Why do you always cry at the drop of a hat? I'm not dead yet, and you're already wailing like it's my funeral." My inner thoughts were really working overtime.
Later that evening, at dinner, Richard the father has joined them. Holly is still playing the delicate flower, subtly manipulating Richard for a birthday gift. Eleanor is doting on Richard, serving him food. They all pointedly ignore Daisy. The whole family dinner was a masterclass in passive aggression. Everyone was deep in their own little worlds of polite conversation, carefully excluding me. But my mind was having a field day. Eleanor, still serving him food? Huh, doesn't she see how Richard's eyes are practically glued to Holly? Oh, Lord, the baby in Holly's belly really is Richard's. What is it with the men in this family? All of them obsessed with the innocent little flower type. But then again, Richard's attraction to Holly isn't that strange. She does resemble his former white moonlight, Clarabelle, a bit. If it weren't for the money, why would he ever have married Eleanor? A stunning woman like her. He even stole her family fortune, then teamed up with Holly to turn Eleanor into a laughingstock. Truly a master schemer. A sharp clatter. Eleanor's chopsticks in food clattered to the floor. David and Ethan, who had been listening to my mental monologue, were still frozen in shock. A woman in a black suit, Olivia, discreetly handed Eleanor a fresh pair of chopsticks and began cleaning up the spilled food. "Thank you, Olivia." "No problem, ma'am. Just call me if you need anything." Olivia. Now, why does that name sound familiar? I pondered. Let's see. Eleanor and the brothers subtly paused, their gazes fixed on me. "Oh, right, Richard's mistress. He's quite the player, isn't he? Mistresses everywhere. But Olivia, she's so much older and still so high demand. Just earlier, she was practically wrapped around him, demanding a hickey on her neck. So, Richard also has a thing for older women, a mommy fetish almost. Tisk tisk. No wonder she's been favored for so long. She can even compete with Holly in the end. But men always prefer younger women. In the end, both of them will lose to Olivia's own daughter. Another clatter. Eleanor's chopsticks dropped again. Olivia, who had been bending down to pick them up, suddenly had her sweater yanked down by Eleanor, revealing a rather aggressive hickey on her neck. "Who did this?" Eleanor's voice was low, dangerous. She was breathing heavily, barely containing her rage. Olivia's composure wavered for a split second, but she quickly regained it. "Madam, that's my personal business." Richard, ever the smooth operator, tried to intervene. "Exactly, dear. Olivia's been single for years. It's perfectly normal for her to have a boyfriend." Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "This doesn't concern you, Richard. Olivia, I'm asking you one more time. Who did this? If you don't tell me, you're fired." Olivia's eyes welled up. "Madam, this is my private matter. If you can't respect that, then I'll leave on my own." Just then, Holly, ever the opportunist, spoke up, seemingly pleading for Olivia. "Mom, Olivia is like family to us. She has her own needs. It's only natural. How can you pry into her private life like this?" Well, 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 my mind buzzed. My mother is certainly quick to pick up on things, but why is Holly defending her rival? What sinister plot is she hatching now? Oh, Daisy, enough. Don't make things up. Ethan, his face flushed with anger, lashed out at me, probably reacting to my inner thought about Holly's motives. "Daisy, stop making things up." I blinked innocently. "What did I say, Ethan?" "Oh, I get it now. She's afraid Olivia will leave because then there'll be no one to administer the drugs to Ethan. This woman's heart is truly venomous, using others to do her dirty work. What a manipulative witch." Ethan's mouth snapped shut. He looked like a dog that had just been hit over the head, deflating instantly. David, sitting beside him, quietly patted his shoulder, whispering words of comfort. "David, comforting others now, are we?" I mused, narrowing my eyes. He has no idea his own kidneys are being damaged by Olivia's concoctions. And Holly, she knew all along but kept silent because of her pregnancy. Poor David. Just because he's Richard's son, he's a thorn in everyone's side. Holly wants to harm him. Olivia wants to harm him. All of them, trying to clear the path for their own children to rise to power. And he still wants my kidney to save his life, but he doesn't know that Holly had someone give me an injection, and now I have hepatitis C. I can't donate. The only one who's a match is Richard, but he never intended to donate, even faking the test results. Oh, the tragedy, the sheer, utter tragedy. I sighed dramatically, then promptly attacked the 2 Boston lobsters on my plate. I ate them clean, then looked up to see the entire family staring at me with bewildered expressions. Right. Ate too fast. They probably think I'm possessed by a hungry ghost. To avoid another lecture, I decided to preempt it. "Mother, I apologize. My table manners are a bit unrefined." Eleanor, her voice filled with a strange new tenderness, said, "It's all right, dear. Eat more." She then pointed to David and Ethan. "You two, take Olivia upstairs to the study." David and Ethan, in a sudden display of rare unity, ushered Olivia upstairs. Richard tried to follow, but Eleanor's glare stopped him cold. Holly, her appetite clearly gone, also retreated upstairs, her room conveniently located next to the study. I watched them go. Perfect. More lobster and abalone for me. After dinner, I went to my room and slept soundly. I am a creature of habit. Early to bed, early to rise. The next morning, I was up before the household staff. The whole family garden was immense. All I could think was, what a waste of good land planting flowers. Why not vegetables? I was just contemplating asking Eleanor for a plot when I heard a gentle voice. Eleanor was standing at the door, waving to me. I skipped towards her, then remembered myself and adopted a more demure pace. "Good morning, Mother." Looks like she pulled an all-nighter. Not surprising, anyone would. Eleanor treated Olivia like a sister. But credit where credit's due, Eleanor is sharp. She immediately called the police. I heard Olivia even managed to charm someone in prison. Strong women truly never complain about their circumstances. Richard appeared, looking disheveled. "Dear, did you stay up all night? Where's Olivia?" Eleanor, her voice icy, said, "Richard Ho, don't tell me you're thinking of divorce. You're not going to be able to transfer all your assets now, are you? That would be foolish." But knowing Eleanor's sensible nature, she won't stand for this. "Don't worry, Mom. If you go bankrupt, I'll support you. I promise you won't have to, become a stripper." Eleanor stared at me with a complex expression, as if pleading, "Please, for the love of all that is holy, stop mentioning stripping." Richard, bewildered, asked what was wrong. Olivia said she wanted to go back to her hometown. I took her there. And there's something else. I'm returning to the company. At breakfast, Holly immediately slammed her hand on the table, protesting Eleanor's decision. "Mom, have you forgotten your nervous breakdown? You haven't fully recovered. David and I will manage the company for you." Eleanor frowned, looking at me. I kept my head down, my mind racing. Oh, she's worried Mom returning to the company will mess up her and Dad's little scheme. My. Why do they act like lovesick puppies, always making out? Don't they know there are cameras in the office? And nervous breakdown? That was Richard's doing, drugging Mom to get her out of the company. Then Holly found a quack traditional Chinese medicine doctor for Mom. No proper qualifications, and the prescriptions only made her condition worse. No wonder Mom recovered so well after the divorce. She could even take up pole dancing. It's better she stopped taking those drugs. Eleanor, her voice suddenly sharp, said, "Daisy." She called my name. "Can you please stop saying those 3 words?" "Huh? What 3 words?" I asked, confused. Eleanor, exasperated, said, "Never mind." She then turned to Holly. "Whether I return to the company or not is none of your business. Don't overstep your boundaries." Holly immediately burst into tears, playing the victim. "I've made Mom angry. I'll go lock myself in my room." She stood up and headed upstairs. Ethan, seeing Holly in distress, started to get up to comfort her. Oh, he's going after her. This paper-thin barrier is about to break. But Ethan isn't really being played for a fool, is he? After all, the baby is still whole blood. He's just addicted to being her lapdog, so addicted that he'll lose everything in the end. Ethan's such a love-struck fool, just like Mom, only caring about romance, not building a career. Serves him right to be used, then murdered and thrown into a ditch when he becomes a nuisance. Ethan suddenly froze. Then, his face ashen, he slowly sat back down. I sighed. Ethan, eyes narrowed at me, said, "Daisy, you really need to stop watching so much junk." Ugh, he's so annoying. Am I close with him that he can just touch me like that? Ethan flinched. He looked genuinely apologetic. "Sorry, I'm so used to it. I'll buy you some fruit when I go to Port City." He muttered a non sequitur and strode away. Holly,
furious, called after him several times, but he brushed him off. Finally, she lost her temper. "Ethan, if you don't apologize, I'll never speak to you again." She clearly thought her usual threat would make Ethan back down. But no, Ethan just kept walking.
Later that afternoon, Holly cornered David, complaining about me. I was in the kitchen, indulging in some forbidden snacks. My gorgeous mother, bless her heart, was all about healthy eating, which meant our meals were basically rabbit food, so I was discreetly helping myself. I was halfway through my secret feast when David, dragged by Holly, entered the kitchen. Perfect timing. Kind-hearted David, I thought. Surely he won't slap her in the face like Ethan did. He's always been so pure. Even though he knew Holly wasn't his real sister from a young age, he was still captivated by her innocent charm. Ugh, why did I use the word pure to describe her? What a desecration of the word. David cleared his throat, his voice surprisingly firm. "When are you planning to move out?" Holly's eyes widened, a look of pure shock on her face. You? You want me to move out too?" David, frowning, said, "Didn't you say you wanted to move out?" Holly, despairing, said, "David, you don't like me either?" David, taking 3 steps back, said, "Don't say that. The word like between us isn't appropriate." At this, I couldn't help but snort with laughter. Holly immediately opened the door, saw me, and her face contorted with rage. "It's you! You must have said something. That's why David and Ethan are treating me like this. Ever since you came back, no one likes me anymore." She lunged at me, grabbing my hair. It hurt. A lot. "Let go." But she held on tighter. I, not one to suffer in silence, immediately grabbed her wrist and twisted. "Ow! Daisy, let go." I turned to David, who was still frozen in shock. "David, you can be my witness later, okay?" Then I slammed Holly to the ground, straddled her, and delivered 8 resounding slaps to her face. Just as I was thoroughly disciplining Holly, Eleanor entered with a man in a black suit. "What are you doing?" I stood up from Holly. Holly immediately scrambled to Eleanor, sobbing, "Mom, save me! Daisy tried to kill me." Eleanor, frowning at me, asked, "What happened?" Before I could speak, David surprisingly spoke up. "Holly started it." Holly looked at David in disbelief, unable to believe those words came from his mouth. She continued to whine. "Daisy has no manners. She was eavesdropping on my conversation with my brothers. I was just teaching her a lesson. Mom, you need to control her." Eleanor, eyes narrowed, said, "Enough. You argue too much. You've been disliked by the whole family all day." Holly's indignation reached its peak. "Mom, I'm your daughter. If you keep favoring her, I won't acknowledge you as my mother." She clearly thought her usual threat would make her back down, but Eleanor slapped her. Hard. "Daisy is my real daughter. You've been living here and taking her place for years. So what if she hits you? If you don't want to be in the Ho family, then get out." Holly was absolutely furious. "Fine, you'll regret this," she shrieked, then stormed upstairs to pack. As she left, she didn't forget to threaten Eleanor. "The day will come when you beg for Holly." I stood there, a little surprised. Just letting her go like that? Isn't that letting a tiger back into the wild? She'll be living it up with Richard outside. Eleanor glanced at David. He immediately understood and chased after Holly. I then turned to the man in the black suit beside Eleanor. "Daisy, this is Mr. Anderson, the CEO." "Hello, Mr. Anderson," I said politely. "So this is Mr. Anderson. Mom brought him here to deal with Richard? Didn't she? After all, he's the head of the company's finance department and was her most loyal subordinate. Or so I thought. Eleanor's too naive. How could Richard, with all his scheming, allow her most loyal finance head to remain in place? Mr. Anderson betrayed her long ago. Oh, he used to be in love with Eleanor.
It turned into hate after she rejected him. He conspired with Richard to drain her assets. The day before my birthday party, he even invited Eleanor out for a photo shoot, which allowed Richard to smoothly divorce her. After Eleanor became penniless, he became her sugar daddy, then kidnapped and tortured her for days. Heavens, are all middle-aged men around here so dumb in it? This forced love trope is surprisingly captivating. Eleanor's face grew paler and paler, as if she'd just eaten something truly disgusting. Should I tell her that only her former subordinate, Sarah Miller, can help her now? I opened my mouth. Mom? Eleanor, looking hopeful, asked, Yes, Daisy? I'm going upstairs. Never mind. She wouldn't believe me anyway. As I ran upstairs, I heard Mr. Anderson speaking to Eleanor. Madam, you called me urgently. What's wrong? Eleanor, clearing her throat, said, Nothing. I just wanted to ask, which department is Sarah Miller in now? In the dim corner of the staircase, my phone lit up. David had somehow convinced Holly to return. Her attitude towards me had completely changed. If I hadn't noticed a strange taste in my food, I would have thought she'd truly reformed.
The next day, Eleanor invited Sarah Miller to the house. When I walked in, they were having coffee. Mom called me over to greet her. I did so, then immediately went back to my mental eavesdropping. So Sarah Miller was Mom's college roommate. Such good friends, and then my awful father ruined everything. Sarah never really dated Dad, but he slandered her, claiming she tried to seduce him. That's what drove Mom and Sarah apart. Mom thought her best friend had betrayed her. She was heartbroken every day, which gave Holly the perfect opportunity to swoop in and push Mom out of the company. Mom's about to cause trouble with Sarah. Looks like she's finally wised up and is ready to take back what's hers. I smiled at Eleanor. You two talk. I'm going to the garden. Sarah said, Your daughter is so much smarter than Holly, Eleanor. Eleanor, shaking her head, said, Smarter? She just loves to grow things. With permission, I'd started a small vegetable patch. Strawberries, cherry tomatoes, you name it. I was weeding when a foot suddenly crushed my only ripe cherry tomato. I looked up. Standing there was a girl, elegantly dressed, with Holly beside her, and another girl. You're the new daughter the whole family found. How country. What are you even growing these things for? The other girl, laughing, said, Chloe, don't scare her. She's from the countryside. Of course she likes farming. I smiled at them. Hello. Ah, this is Chloe, the bitch Holly told me about, and Brittany, the unwashed hippo. Holly said Chloe had a butt as big as a pig's. Doesn't look that big, actually. But her words are certainly ugly. Better not argue with her. What if she bites my butt? And Brittany, still giggling like an idiot, Holly said she never bathes. True. She doesn't smell bad. But she's supposedly famous for going 10 days without showering, then finding boyfriends to, lick her clean. What a disgusting habit. Making money is hard these days, I guess. Brittany's face darkened, even more than Chloe's. She turned and slapped Holly on her face. You disgusting pig, you're not as bad as I am, sleeping with men every day. Aren't you afraid of getting sick? She then stormed off, crushing my strawberry plant as she went. Holly, clutching her face, looked stunned. Then Chloe slapped Holly on the other side of her face. Don't look for us anymore. Holly clutched her face for a long moment, then looked at me, her eyes filled with madness. She charged at me, attacking me. It's you. You set this up. You must have done something. Otherwise, how would they have found out? I easily restrained her. A pampered young lady like her was no match for someone who had worked with her hands all her life. Holly, I'm warning you, don't provoke me. You can't beat me. Holly glared at me, gritting her teeth, but didn't dare to move.
but she quickly spat out a cruel threat. Daisy, enjoy it while it lasts. You won't be smug for much longer.
For the next 2 weeks, I finally had some peace. Richard was still stuck in Port City, Eleanor was out from dawn till dusk, Holly was consumed by her grand birthday party plans, and David was focused on healthy living. Me? I was just a professional weed puller. The night before the party, everyone seemed lost in their own thoughts. Eleanor took a phone call and left. Holly kept checking her phone every 3 minutes, clearly waiting for someone. Only I kept eating. That night, I slept soundly. The next morning, I was given a beautiful dress and high heels. Eleanor beamed at me. "Finally, you look like a proper young lady. Today, you are the main character, Daisy." I smiled and nodded. Soon guests arrived. Eleanor introduced me to everyone, and I smiled until my cheeks hurt. Holly, usually the center of attention, sat by herself, looking like a wronged concubine. Her former rich friends couldn't even get close to her. They just glared at me. This went on until Richard and Ethan entered. Holly's spirits instantly lifted. She practically skipped towards Richard, calling out, "Dad, you're finally back." Ethan, beside her, muttering, said, "He's back all right. Disgusting." Richard, ever the doting father, ruffled Holly's hair. "I'm back, sweetheart." For the past 2 years, Richard had been in charge of the company, so everyone still respected him. People immediately flocked to him, flattering him. Holly, her earlier frustrations gone, strutted beside him like a peacock. Still hasn't been announced yet, and she's already acting like the official wife. Not a good look. Everyone around me was looking at me. I just smiled. Holly probably has no idea that Richard met a little girl in Port City, a very fun little girl. He couldn't bear to leave her behind and even brought her back with him. Everyone gasped. Eleanor, unable to watch anymore, went over and pushed Holly away. Once everyone had arrived, Richard went on stage to give a rambling speech, eventually announcing that I was the true daughter of the Ho family. Finally, he got to his main point. "Actually, today I have something else I want to announce. I'm preparing to divorce Eleanor, because last night something unforgivable happened. My wife and my finance director, they've been seeing each other." He gestured dramatically to a large screen. Everyone in the room had gossip written all over their faces, but the screen didn't show photos of Eleanor and Mr. Anderson. Instead, it showed photos of Richard and Holly. Just everyday photos. Richard's face was ashen. "Quick, call Mr. Anderson." He barked at his secretary. "Call him? Why? He tried to rape Mom yesterday. He's already been arrested and handcuffed." The crowd gasped. Eleanor walked up to Richard, snatched the microphone from him. "Other evidence? You have none, but I do." The large screen changed. First, a pregnancy test, then photos of Richard and Holly at the clinic together. Finally, a video of them exercising together. Oh, Eleanor had been busy lately. Richard's face grew darker and darker. Finally, he shrieked, "Turn it off! Turn it off!" Holly, completely unhinged, ran to the computer operator and started shaking him. Eleanor's voice was cold. "Perfect timing. Someone just delivered 2 documents. Even if you don't divorce me, I'm divorcing you. Sign it." Richard, without a word, signed it. Then he burst into maniacal laughter. "Eleanor, divorcing me is useless. You won't get a single penny." Eleanor, shrugging, said, "Oh, really?" She snapped her fingers. Suddenly, everyone's phones rang simultaneously. It turned out the venue had been jammed. Richard finally received a call. After listening, his entire body went rigid with rage.
He looked at Eleanor, his eyes bloodshot. "You crazy woman, you dared to transfer all the marital assets?" Eleanor, smiling, coldly said, "Don't talk nonsense. That's illegal." Richard was about to say more when two police officers arrived. They greeted Richard. "Mr. Ho, you're Richard Ho, correct? Someone reported you for tax evasion. Please come with us." Richard was led away by the police. I hid in a corner, chuckling to myself. My chuckle was caught by the deranged Holly. She had just been publicly humiliated and her father had been arrested. She was completely insane. She charged at me, grabbing my neck. "It's you! You set this up! You must have used some kind of trick. How else could they have found out?" Eleanor and David, seeing this, immediately panicked. Eleanor shrieked, "Call the police! Quickly, call the police!" "Call the police? What good would that do? They can't imprison her if she's pregnant. Better to find a mental hospital." Hearing my thoughts, Eleanor immediately changed tactics. She called a mental hospital. "This woman is insane." The insane woman, Holly, continued to rant. "You lived so well in the countryside. Why did you come back to donate a kidney? Why couldn't you just be obedient? Why did others have to discover you? Why do you get everything without trying? Why are you born noble and I'm just a country girl? I pretended to be obedient for years just to be pampered, and you, in just 2 or 3 days, stole everything from me. I'm not reconciled. I'm ruined and you're coming down with me." She was truly insane. I felt the air thinning around my neck. Finally, I mustered all my strength and pushed her away. At that moment, several bodyguards rushed forward and restrained her. I coughed several times, finally clearing the anger from my chest. "Holly, you say I stole everything from you, but that's because you were too greedy. Mom and my brothers treated you so well. If you hadn't been such a scheming little vixen, you would have been pampered for life." I walked towards her. I didn't want to lecture, but the atmosphere felt right for a few words of wisdom. "And there's one more thing you got wrong. People are born equal. The rich aren't nobler than the poor." I continued to work in my small garden every day, but after that day, no one could hear my thoughts anymore. Eleanor and my two brothers treated me better and better. Until that day, Eleanor asked me, "Daisy, your birthday party was ruined. Do you have any birthday wishes you want to fulfill?" I thought for a moment. "I want to go back to the countryside and farm." Eleanor, stunned, asked, "What? Did I hear that right?" "The wheat in the countryside is almost ripe. I need to go harvest it." Eleanor disagreed, but I was persistent. After a few days, she finally gave in. Eleanor, David, and Ethan drove me back. When I first came to the Haw family, no one was there to greet me. Now, so many people were seeing me off. On the way back, Eleanor kept asking me to tell her stories about my childhood. There wasn't much to tell. That year, Holly and I were swapped. She went to the rich family, and I went to the small village. My adoptive parents were wonderful. They never looked down on me because I was a girl. They sent me to school, bought me clothes, and gave me snacks. Later, I had a younger brother. He had A-type blood. I wanted to get my blood tested too. It turned out I had B-type blood. My adoptive parents both had A-type blood. That day, they realized the hospital had made a mistake. They went to the hospital, desperately trying to find my biological parents. They left and came back, saying they couldn't find them. Eleanor, tears streaming down her face, hugged me. "I'm so sorry, Daisy. I'm so sorry." "Why are you crying, Mom?" I thought to myself. "I know my adoptive parents found you, but you didn't want to acknowledge me. You thought I'd been in that environment for too long and was completely corrupted. You thought I was a bad child, and your jealousy wouldn't allow a child like me to exist. But Mom, we hadn't even met. How did you know I was a bad child?" My childhood story wasn't finished when Eleanor received a phone call. Sarah had drained
all her money. The company was ruined. Eleanor had to go home to deal with the mess. I went home and harvested my wheat. After the wheat, I planted corn, just like my adoptive parents, day after day until one day a woman came to my house. We lived together. Eleanor and my brothers were completely bankrupt. Of course, Eleanor didn't become a streetwalker. She still held on to the pride of the Hoff family. A year later, Eleanor and my brothers came to my place again. They saw Sarah lying on the couch and went ballistic. "Sarah, you owe me money." Just then, I walked out of the room. Eleanor saw me and demanded to know, why is she here? I smiled. "Because we're a team, you fools." I chuckled. "Mom, how do you feel hearing my thoughts again?" Eleanor, shocked, asked, You knew?" "Of course I knew. You all could hear me." "And everything you heard was my honest, unfiltered thoughts." I imagined Eleanor getting goosebumps. Ethan clenched his fists, ready to punch me. "What do you mean? You were playing games with us? All those things, you made them up?" I leaned against the door, blinking innocently. "What are you talking about, Ethan? After a year, maybe you're dreaming things." He fell silent. He really had been dreaming things. Not just him, but everyone. They'd all been dreaming the words from my internal monologue. Sarah, calmly, poured a kettle of water and held a cup. I opened my mouth. "Mom, there's a part of the story I haven't told you yet. Do you want to hear it?" Eleanor and the brothers looked at me, expressions still unreadable. I took a deep breath and began. My adoptive parents said they couldn't find my biological parents, so they raised me as their own. I went to high school, then college, smoothly. But one day, some people came to our house. They said my biological parents had found me and wanted to take me home. My adoptive parents, with tears in their eyes, told me to go, that maybe my biological parents missed me. So I went to the Hoff family. But as soon as I left, those same people came back and killed my adoptive parents and my younger brother. Eleanor's face was grim. I didn't kill them. I took a sip of tea. "Of course not, Mom. If it were you, how could you sit here so calmly drinking tea with me?" "Who could it be then?" "Of course it was Princess Holly, the one you pampered." "Why did she kill my adoptive parents?" "Because Holly, under your upbringing, believed all country folk were beneath her." Holly was afraid of returning to that environment, afraid of becoming like that. So she killed my adoptive parents, and then she climbed into Richard's bed. Eleanor stared at me, perhaps remembering my words on my first day in the Hoff family. Her guilt deepened. "It's my fault. My upbringing was flawed. I've tried to fix it since then, haven't I? If I hadn't been bankrupt, would I have done that?" You're probably wondering why I know all this, Mom. It's because I died once. In my past life, I returned to my biological parents with so much hope because my adoptive parents told me that no parent in the world doesn't love their child. So I truly yearned to meet my biological parents. But after I came back, I realized it wasn't true. My entire family hated me. It clearly wasn't my fault, but they blamed everything on me. They were manipulated by Holly, believing I was crude and unbearable. Was I truly crude and unbearable, or were your prejudices too strong? Even though in this life I've helped you prevent so many things, you still didn't truly respect me. On my birthday, you called it an important day for me, but you chose that day to expose Richard and Holly. You never truly wanted to treat me well, you just felt my thoughts were valuable to you. Eleanor burst into tears. No, that's not true. I truly love you." "I don't believe you. Let's continue with my past life story. You all treated me terribly, so I wanted to go back to my adoptive parents in the countryside. The village called, and that's when I found out they were dead. I investigated and discovered Holly killed them. I went to confront her. She ran me over with her car. And then I was reborn and bound to a system that allowed me to look up everyone's private matters. That's how I looked up Sarah. It turned out Sarah was a kidnapped child, my mother's biological sister. That's why Sarah and I planned everything. I looked at Eleanor, my voice softening, but with a firmness that left no doubt in my mind. Mom, don't even think about getting that money back. You won't, and I won't give it to you. Before, you looked down on people like me. Now, I look down on you. I then ordered them to leave. Eleanor took 2 steps, then directly knelt before me. I was wrong. I'm sorry. It's too late. You had so many chances. You knew I was your real daughter early on. You had the chance to bring me back, but you didn't. Eleanor eventually left. David, less than half a year later, also passed away. Ethan tried to support the family, but he really was a spoiled rich kid with no ability. Soon, his last bit of money was swindled away. Eleanor almost became a street vendor. She set up a small stall selling goods. Business was just enough to survive. She was no longer a noblewoman of Beijing's high society. As for me, I live in this countryside with the adoptive parents I love most. Yes, they are alive. I was reborn, and I couldn't let Holly win again. I saved my adoptive parents, and I saved myself. And so, life, with all its unexpected twists and turns, led me right back to where I truly belonged. It wasn't in a grand mansion surrounded by wealth and deceit. It was here, in the quiet embrace of the earth, with the people who taught me what true family, true love really meant. The echoes of fortune may still linger, but the real treasure, I found, isn't something you can inherit or steal. It's built carefully, patiently, from the ground up. And sometimes you just need a little peek into people's deepest thoughts to realize that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sometimes it's just full of weeds.